Greetings and konnichiwa, and welcome back to the Onyx Tavern Vlog series on Russia Sentai ToQger. I'm your host, Rick the Barkeep, and today let's talk about station number 33, number 1 at Karate. So here we are, back to ToQger, and it has been a long time since we've actually talked about this series, and it's not for the reasons I stated why I haven't been doing the tavern for the last couple of months. Those reasons, personal and job-wise and all that, have been preventing me from just doing the tavern altogether, but I've been the one that's been intentionally putting off the ToQger vlogs. And it really comes down to the fact that I really don't like ToQger. Now, I'm not saying that it's the worst Sentai series or anything like that. I mean, I still got several more episodes to review before I can even make a claim like that. It's just that it hasn't been living up to its potential. It started out with a great idea, a great premise, a great mystery, but has failed to deliver on these promises, and what it has given us is really subpar at best. We have characters who are, frankly, not that interesting, characters that we've seen before, or characters that are just plain boring. We have villains that are interesting in some aspects, but are really not overall. I mean, the Emperor is an interesting concept, but they're really not doing anything with him at this point. And it just really has been underwhelming is what the series has been. So I've really been avoiding the series just so I can talk about other things that are far more interesting. Ning Ninja, Dino Charge, even talk about, Mighty Morphin Power Ranger topics. Just anything but ToQger. But of course, I did promise you guys that I would go ahead and do ToQger in its entirety. I would go ahead and finish out the entire series. And I'm going to stick by my word, and I am going to go ahead and do that. So, starting now, we're going to go ahead and just chug through, no pun intended, through all the ToQger episodes that we have left. We also have the crossover movie with the Kyoryuger, and of course we have the epilogue movie. So I will get those all completed here within short succession. Now, that all being said, now that I've actually taken time away from ToQger, kind of got a breather from it, and now that I'm returning to the series, this episode actually, is a good place to come back into the show. And that's because when we left off with station number 32, we got the big reveal, as it were, as far as who the ToQger are, why they're in the situation, yada, yada, yada. And again, it was all underwhelming. But this episode, which picks off from that point, is almost kind of a phase 2 of the season, just based on this single episode alone, because now we don't have to worry about this mystery that's going on. We don't have to guess about what their personalities are and how they got here and things like that. The secret's been revealed. We understand more about their characters. And again, it's not that interesting a reveal, and their characters are still pretty much the same. But now that they have their memories back, we actually do have some story points that we can hit on from their past that is actually influencing what is going on here. And that's in this episode. First of all, it's a Hikari episode, and he is my favorite ToQger. I find him to be the most interesting. He is the most intelligent. He is the most serious of all the characters. And the episode even goes out of its way to point out that he is the most serious character, and part of his character growth is he needs to have a little bit of fun. He needs to have joy in what he is doing in order for him to go ahead and succeed. That's part of his character arc in this episode. But I like that it focuses on him, but it also focuses on Wright to a lesser extent, and establishes that Hikari has this pseudo-rivalry with Wright. Not so much that we see like with other rivalries and foils of other characters in past Sentai, but the idea that Wright... The problem with Wright, or excuse me, not Wright, the problem with Hikari is that he does take things so seriously, and he doesn't seem to achieve everything that he wants because he is so serious. Wright, on the other hand, takes joy in everything that he does, and he does succeed in everything that he does. And that's the general broad strokes of it. And this episode points that out, the difference between the two characters, and how Hikari in a way, resents Wright for essentially being a goof off and having all the talent while he has to work hard for everything he does and doesn't always succeed. And I think that's a great message to go ahead and put to children or to anybody out there, is that you can do everything right and you can be serious, but you can't always succeed because there is going to be somebody who just has that natural talent. And yes, that's the way of the world crushing you kind of thing, but that's kind of a message I think everybody needs to hear. But tacked on to that as well is the message of you gotta lighten up. You gotta have fun in what you're doing, because if you do have fun in what you're doing, then it makes it all the better. And that's represented with Hikari's flashback of karate. He wasn't having any fun in it, and he lost. Wright was having fun, but of course, mixed with his natural talent, he ended up winning. So Hikari does have this resentment for Wright in that regard, and throughout the episode, you can see that he does want to challenge Wright, that he wants to do everything he can to be better than him. And what we actually find out by the end is that Hikari is better than him, but not physically, but mentally, that he is smarter than Wright. That while Wright has all those great physical attributes and is gifted in karate, it is Hikari who is the smartest one, and because he was smart is why they were able to resolve the conflict in the episode. So actually, let's talk about what's going on in the episode. So the ToQger arrive in this town where the syringe monster has attacked and injected everybody with these bracelets that by sundown, if he's not defeated, he will inject all the poison into them and basically kill them. And this is kind of a plot that we've seen before and everything, and what's the logical thing to do in this, or what have we seen done in this episode? They morph, they fight, they find some clever way to defeat the monster, go to the Megazord, everything is good. And that is kind of what happens in the episode, but it's done a lot better than what we've seen in previous episodes of ToQger. They attempt to go in fully morphed into this building, which I kind of love the concept, because they have to reach the top floor of the building to get the monster and go ahead and defeat him. They have to charge the castle and slay the dragon, as it were, and the building is full of crows. But as they attempt to go ahead and do that, they can't, because the monsters say, you come in morphed here, I'm just going to kill everybody right here and now. If you want to save them, you have to play by my rules. And in that situation, I mean, honestly, what are you going to go ahead and do? You really do have to play by the monster's rules. So they demorph, and they are also given these bracelets where if they don't save the townspeople, well, they're going to die as well. So, insurance for the monster, if you will. And the episode, here's where it gets interesting, because at this point, Hikari says he has a plan. We go to commercial break, and when we come back, his plan is just for him and Wright to go into the building, unmorphed, fight off all the crows, and make their way up to the top to fight the syringe monster by themselves. And this is a great action set piece to see those two working together, but also working against each other, because as they are going up, much like Gimli and Legolas in the Lord of the Rings films, they have this contest on who can defeat the most crows. So as they're fighting, they're kind of 1, 2, 3, 4. I got more than you. I got 35. I got 36. That only counts as 1. Stuff like that is what's happening. And I like that, because it is a way of doing a rivalry between our characters that is not completely antagonistic, I guess would be the way. Because, the way it's done in Lord of the Rings is it's a little bit of fun to see who can go ahead and get the most, and it's the same thing here. Who can go ahead and get the most, and they are having fun with it. Yes, everybody's life is on the line, but again, that's to the message of the episode, is that if you just go in there all stiff and stern, you're not going to be able to go ahead and achieve this goal. And that's actually what happened before they got there, because as they come into town, they are met by different martial arts experts, karate experts, and it was said that they all tried to go ahead and make their way up the building to fight the syringe monster, but they didn't succeed. Now, they obviously didn't succeed for, combination of two reasons. One, they're not ToQger, and I do find it a little bit odd that the karate masters are not able to succeed, but the ToQger can. But that's something we can skim over, because honestly, this episode does have a number of logical issues and problems I have with it. But again, the main story is so good that you can actually overlook those particular issues, and that happens with a lot of different movies. I mean, every time travel movie has a plot hole in it, but movies that are like Back to the Future and so forth are so good that you're willing to overlook those plot holes because everything else is so great. But yeah, the Karate Masters cannot make it up. Because they're not ToQger, but also it fits into what the theme is that they are serious. They aren't taking joy in it because to them it is a life and death situation that they must make it up there. But they are not tempered by that love for what they're doing, which again is what Hikari and Wright have in this. Now, I should also mention that they are joined by the town's head karate master or sensei. Uh, and the twist of the episode, and I'm hoping you saw this episode before you actually listened to me here, but the twist is that the Karate Master is actually the syringe monster in disguise. Now, one, I like how Hikari was able to figure out that it was the syringe monster, something that the other ToQger did not really think about, and of course we, the audience, are not thinking about either, because we have no reason not to believe that he's not the Karate Master. But of course, Hikari figures it out, and in order to basically expose him, they do this little thing, it's great, where Hikari and Wright start blaming each other for failure, because they get up there, they find the syringe monster is a dummy, and they're just kind of like, it's your fault, no, it's your fault, it's your fault, no, it's your fault. They're just kind of going back and forth like that, and it's a fake out because they're actually playing this as a role so they could attack the syringe monster. And I really like that because really the story's played straight up to that point, and then you realize what the twist is and that they were working together to expose the syringe monster to where the syringe monster wouldn't expect it. And I think that's great. That's really good. That's a twist that we haven't seen in this particular series thus far. So I really, really enjoyed that. Now, what I also enjoy is this entire end sequence. Basically, first of all, we have continuity in here. I remember a long time ago I said that the car carrier rush hour would not return to use the little cars like they did before, as it was done in its premiere episode. But boy, to my surprise, what's part of the plan? Sending the other four ToQger in the car carrier rush hour and just shooting them up to the top floor of the building, bursting through the glass and attacking this guy. I mean, that was freaking awesome. And what's even better is once they morph, they knock the syringe monster out the window, and Wright follows him out, free-falling, while shooting and attacking him on the way down. I mean, that's what we need. That's the type of action sequence. That's something we haven't seen. That's something that hasn't been in the season, and I can't think of another time it's been in Sentai like that. It was just really amazing to see something like that. And then I also got to talk about the lighting for this. Wow, as soon as they morphed at the end and the sun was setting, the light, the amber color, the filters, whatever they did to get that lighting effect, that was just amazing. I really, this episode has great action, a great story, great character development, great cinematography. Just everything looks so good in this episode. It was just, I liked it. I thought it was great. Because, again, on the surface, it's them just saving this town, but underneath, it's a story about Hikari. It's him going through character growth and becoming somebody greater than who he was to begin with. Now, there isn't a story for Wright here, but it's not meant to be Wright's story. I mean, you could have swapped Takachi in there, you could have swapped Mio in there, and it essentially would have been the same story. But again, it's there to service for Hikari, and I guess we learned a little bit about Wright that his grandfather was a sensei and a karate master. So that's always good as well. Now let's talk about a couple of other things in this episode. I think I've pretty much hit on all the major points, but I actually do want to talk about, as I said, this seems to be kind of a relaunch of the season, because again, we got all that baggage of the mystery off. So now the episode actually begins with them stating what it is they need to do. And they state that there are 3 things they need to do. One is to prevent the Shadow Line from attacking more stations. 2 is to recover the Drill Rusha from Schwartz, and 3 is to liberate the Shadow Towns, which is exactly what they need to be doing. It seems in this episode that they have become more serious-minded about what they're doing. Now, the conductor does say in the episode, and I'm going to quote here, Now that they've had their, now that they have their memories, it seems like they're becoming less childlike. Which I don't understand that quote, to be quite honest. I don't really understand what it means there, that they have, because they have their memories back, they're acting less like children. To me, it would be the opposite, that they would become more childlike because they have their memories of children, being children, and that's all they really know. Because again, they are children in adults' bodies. So for them to act like children would be natural. For them to have this kind of more serious turn, it's a good turn in terms of story and where they need to be going in direction of it, but it doesn't seem like it would be the right thing that would happen from getting their memories. I mean, what it seems to me is that if they don't have their memories returned, they would be serious to begin with, because you start the series, I don't know who I am, I got to find out what's going on, and I got to be serious about this because I got to figure out what my past is. But once they get their memories back, it's kind of like, oh, I'm 10 years old, I'm an adult body and all that. They, of course, would change their personalities a little bit because they have these new memories, but I don't think they would become more serious. I'm glad that they became serious, I just don't kind of buy that that's what's going on. But again, that's something that we can easily not so much ignore, but not be as concerned about because the episode was so good. And again, that's pretty much all I really have to go ahead and say about the episode. It's just a great action piece, a great character piece, and now that I've watched this, I really look forward to watching the rest of ToQger because I'm hoping that it can stay up to this quality. That it could get better from here. That now, again, that they've shed themselves of a lot of that baggage of what the mystery is, and that now they have these clear-cut goals on what they need to go ahead and do. Maybe the next episode is where they actually go after Schwartz and they find him, or that they, find the Shadow Line as they're trying to take over a town, make it a Shadow Town. Because once you've introduced these, these three core goals that they have set, you as the writer need to make sure that they follow through with those for the remainder of the episodes here, which I think there are about 15 or so episodes left. Don't quote me on that. But I really hope they follow through. So, again, I think they did a great job here. There's a lot of interesting stuff. So far, my favorite episode of the season, just because of all the things that it did and just how enjoyable it was to go ahead and watch. So next time, we will return with more Retro Sentai ToQger, and we will be doing station number 34, whose name I do not know because I haven't looked it up yet. But until next time, thank you all for listening, have a good evening, and the tavern is now closed.